Hello everybody! Today we are going to be building a simple solar system within Unity 3D. You can definitely snazz this up to make it look really good, but we're going to be going over sort of the basics of how this goes. I'm not really into doing this tutorial stuff, so we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to walk you through the steps, and you should be able to recreate this and then have a play and see what you can figure out. So first things first, you're going to want to create a new material. Go to, create material, stick that into a folder for materials to keep it all organized. I do recommend that you download a materials pack. I have left in the description the one that I used for this video. It will be the top of the links. So after you've created this material, you're going to click on Universal Render Pipeline and change it to a skybox, a six-sided skybox. Then you can select the front, back, left, right, up and down, I believe, in order to make this material based on that, basically. And then you can simply drag this into your scene, and you'll have your very own skybox. This is one I chose. I like it. Up to you. If you like it, there are obviously other options. You can create your own if you really feel like it. But that's neither here nor there. Now, the next thing we're going to do is create a sun. So, creating the sun, again, fairly simple. We're going to be using the built-in Unity lens flare system. So to do this, you want to create a new empty object and attach a point light to it, and then go to add component and type in lens flare, then pick lens flare brackets SRP, which is standard render pipeline. Now, this will automatically attach a object that you can't edit from Unity's own folders. So you're going to want to click clone, which will create a new version of that within your own personal project, which you can edit. This one you can then drag into the slot on that solar flare that you created, and now you can edit it. Now, editing this any which way will obviously have different effects. You can watch what I'm doing here to, do what I did, or have a go at it yourself, figure out what you want it to look like. Now, next I create a new material to apply to the sun. I put a sphere, a 3D object sphere, within this flare. Now, I would recommend finding a good-looking sun material. For this, I just used a material of Venus because it looks kind of similar, made a little bit of edits, and that has made my sun for me. Now, from here, I spent a bit more time figuring out the way this flare works. I do change this a bit later though, so just play with it and see if you like what you come to. Next, we're going to want to create another 3D sphere and place this at some point around the sun. Then a new material, and add that new material to this object in order to create another planet. Now, with this planet, we're going to do the only bit of technically coding that you need for this, in which we will create a new empty object and name that whatever your planet is, pivot, or this is what I do, you can name it whatever. And then we're going to open up Visual Studio. For you, you're going to want to create a new C# script. And then in the pinned comment, I will pin this code. You don't need to really understand what this does for this. You can, of course, if you have your own knowledge of programming, create your own. However, this is the one that I used. And you could just paste that from that pinned comment. And then you're going to want to drag that script onto your pivot empty object and set the Y rotate per second value to something like 20. This is just a placeholder for now, and stick the new planet or the other 3D sphere that you made under that pivot object. This will mean that basically the pivot is at the position of the sun. Make sure you have actually reset its transform position and the sun's transform position and all that. And then it's going to be rotating there. But since you've attached this other object to it, which is at a distance outside, then it will rotate as well. But it's rotating around that central pivot point, which means that it gives the illusion of it orbiting your sun. So now if we hit play, we should be able to see that, yeah, this one planet now rotates our sun. Now, I spent a bit of time making some more edits to my sun. This still isn't the final edits, but just making it a little bit more visually clear. And then I go ahead and duplicate my pivot to make one for all of the new planets, creating new objects and creating new materials for each of them, and different distances, etc. Now, after I have done this, I do also decide to give them all different sort of sizes, and at the moment I'm leaving them within similar things. But I do go around and change up their rotation speed so that there is actually some differentiation between the amount of time that is taken for a full rotation around this sun. Now from here, this full scene is really done. It's not perfect, but that is, it's created with visual clarity. However, you may want to improve this, and if that's the case, you most certainly can do. I'm just going to speed through what I did. This will be a speeded up version, because I really want to say, do it however you want. The most important thing, honestly, is to not be afraid to use Google and use all of those resources available to yourself in order to really just figure things out. So like, I looked up the actual distances, which planets are from each other, messed around with them a bit to make them still look fine, and then placed all the planets at those positions. I then also created a pivot object on the Earth and added a moon object to that. I added a bunch of different rotating moon objects to my Jupiter, because Jupiter has a lot of moons. Obviously other planets do as well. I could have spent the time to make it on a bunch of them. I didn't. I also downloaded some inflatable ring assets, which I used to place a ring around Saturn by making the ring entirely flat and having a go at that. Now, when importing some assets, you may find that they come out without their textures working. There are a few different workarounds to this. The main one is changing your graphics render pipeline. However, this can be a bit finicky, and sometimes, depending on if you know how you've created your project and everything, it can be a bit more difficult. So what I decided to do instead is find a sort of asteroid texture and just slap that on top of all of them. This, you know, is a workaround that really works a lot easier. And hey, you get to see that debugging process in real time. So finally, adding those final details, I ended up with what you saw at the start of this video. Really, this is just a nice and simple project for, you know, starting out and learning some level design and also a little bit of programming, although, again, you can sort of decide for yourself how detailed you want to go with this. But have fun, go wild. There are definitely more things you could add. I would play a bit more with the sizes of things, play a bit more with the camera, maybe get your camera to cycle through your universe as it is spinning, your solar system, not universe. And yeah, that's about it. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions whatsoever, I can try and answer them in the comments. I'll see them. So yeah,